Hello. Welcome back to my channel. This is Northstar. I hope you're well, are taking care of each other, being kind to yourselves. I am here with Syria, the only multi-state miner with a generic tree. The Middle East to get started is I really didn't want to, well, except Egypt. Could have started as Egypt, actually. I don't know. I thought maybe I get a situation where I could take on Turkey, but they joined the Central Powers, so when they demanded I had to give. If they hadn't joined the Central Powers, I might have taken on Turkey early, and I probably should have been much more aggressive about flipping and taking on my other neighbors. Jordan, Palestine, which I turned into Communist Israel, the Levantine Union. It's an interesting looking flag. It's got a hammer and sickle in the center, but yeah, it's no, I don't see any references to specifically Judaism that would imply an ethno-state or anything. Hopefully it's, oh, that is Hebrew writing below it, I think. Maybe. Hopefully it's treating everyone equal, and it's not the apartheid nonsense that eventually evolved there. Well, eventually. Kind of started off that way, it just got worse. I'm justifying on Lebanon. I'll probably hop over to Cyprus. I probably should have flipped very early via civil war, maybe, or just stayed out of the, I don't know. Help Norway, and that was a mistake because then they were at war. Sweden, Kapus, Norway, whatever, manageable, but then Soviet Lithuania brought the Soviet Union into war with Norway and Sweden, and they also declared on Finland, and Finland had joined the faction of the US via its focus tree. Well, actually, Canada formed that faction, but it made US the faction leader via its focus tree, and then the Finnish focus tree then had Finland join it, and then this Lithuanian focus tree brought the Soviets to war with all of them, which caused a mutual enemy, which means, well, now we're the North American Alliance. That's what the Canadian focus tree variant, what it gets called. So, yeah, trying to do a holding action. Not going great. Here I've got reinforcements theoretically on the way. I probably need to get them out of this battle. Pretty sure they're withdrawing. So actually in 18 hours reinforcements arrive here. I don't know how long I can keep trying, but they just keep adding better and more units to the front. It's only to be a matter of time till I lose, probably. I'm getting anti-tank, infantry anti-tank 2, which will really help most of the infantry with some artillery divisions to do a better job fighting there, and eventually grab this, and this will give attack to my towed artillery. So like this, because I need an immediate boost. This buff my anti-air, but that's going to take a long time to get 2 more traits with the artillery on my own. Actually, not horrendously. No, actually, I'm running out of tech. So if I do the anti-tank, anti-air lines, maybe I can get it to size 6. Size 7 is going to take a long time. Yeah. Whatever. I'm trying to also get some casts in production. There's no... The Americans just... Kapus Norwegians, however, they don't have any radar stations in the area. Although eventually there's a focus in the Norwegian tree, which the other side would have repurposed lighthouses, which would give them radar stations, but they don't have the special project research facility. That whole system was added with the special projects, and it wasn't well integrated to the focus trees of a lot of nations, the radar, so a lot of them now can't actually get radar stations realistically because building aerodynamics research facilities is beyond most miners. It's a problem. Anyways, so yeah, I guess as long as they don't have radar, my casts can mostly sneak by and should be able to do some bombing to support the ground troops. I'll keep losing a lot of fighters and even the occasional pilots. But the benefit of this is my ground troops will be able to win and maybe even push, counterattack, take some territory. Okay. Also, Jordan, and now I know why they have had no divisions. Literally all their templates are just motorized, which when they got those for free, when and they edited them slightly when they got truck, so they never bothered producing any infantry templates, or they decommissioned or deleted them. It's bad. It's so bad that and I can't even duplicate an empty. I don't think there's a way to create a new one that belongs to... No. So if I want to produce infantry from Jordan, I literally have to take one of these and just delete everything except maybe the engineers, replace one with an infantry. That makes it 30 army XP to produce a to produce a 6 with infantry. I mean a 12 with infantry. I should probably not delete, just replace, because it's the same army XP either way. I don't even have the army XP for it. Yeah, it's not great, but yeah, I guess they produce some port guards. That's basically all I can get from them. I'll duplicate before they create, well, some other nonsense, but actually the other nonsense probably will have extra support companies, so maybe... Where are the... This is supposed to show the flag that shows that it's a colonial template. When you duplicate something, maybe I have to use copy. There we go. You need that little flag. That means that most of the manpower comes from your subject and not you. This is a colonial template of Jordan. Colonial forces draw manpower from the subject at a rate determined by their autonomy level. Except this isn't what I want. I want the one that's got engineers. Wonder... Yeah, they've already got infantry. It'd be cheaper and easier to draw troops from newly created puppet here than it is. Of course, they don't have the manpower because they have to raise their conscription laws. Although since they're newly created, they'll eventually get indoctrination. They might do ideological loyalty, or I could switch them and make them do it. But so they'll eventually have some manpower, but not yet. Right. These aren't really... Gives me a motorized template. Wasn't I supposed to get free motorized when I got trucks? I would have sworn it was. It's supposed to give you a free division template, I thought. Well, I guess all my actual motorized forces have come from Jordan. I want to create a version that doesn't have the engineers. I have plenty of support equipment. I seized it from Palestine and Jordan. I have enough rifles. No, I probably want to keep the engineers because they had a little extra stats for the width. No. You know what? I'll create a copy that's... Jordan... motorized. This would be reserve. Or moat plus eng. There we go. Cool. I don't have nearly the trucks for, well, any of this. 210 trucks. I'm buying trucks. 120 trucks. Producing some. Guess I could partially equip pre-train one of these. But the first thing I was going to do with trucks was use them for logistics when I get them, so. Anyhow. The war continues in Norway. Yeah, I could reduce some of these penalties, though just having more trains would probably eliminate them. However, trains are expensive, at least individually. 140 for one train. Compared to being 5 for, you know, you can get 28 trucks for the cost of a single train. So the trucks are better stopgap. Didn't I buy something else with the 422? Guess not. To buy some more artillery if I can get it. Anti-air from Romania. I'm importing some steel from Romania. I don't want to cancel that. So, anti-air guns, anti-air guns. $70 anti-air guns, 105 anti-air guns, and 120 trucks. Because I don't have the... There's not enough steel on the markets anymore without access to the American steel. Actually, even with... I don't see American even crossed... Oh, down there. Yeah, without access to U.S. steel, I can't. And without the ability to trade overseas, I can't get enough steel, so I have to buy equipment. Alright, these guys are fully entrenched now. Or almost. Some of them are. My best day. Flip into this commander. He's got higher... Thought he had higher logistics skill. Hey. What's that guy does? Wow. Got higher planning. Eventually I'll want to counterattack if I can manage it. And he can entrench more deeply under him because he's under this trench defense guy. So stat penalties aren't worth it. until it comes time to, dig in so that divisions can get better entrenchment bonuses. Where's that fight that... Oh, I'm now winning it. I was like, I was used to seeing red. Now it's green because with the reinforcements, the American offensive is... They also have a different flag in this alt history where the Americans never colonized. This one's black, yellow, white, and red. Which I think is to represent that's more like a multiracial, never colonized. Black, like African American, yellow, Asian, white. White people, red. The natives. This is United Native American States where, the Native Americans weren't wiped out, all their land taken just because they were reduced in numbers by disease. Like, in our own world, you don't get to steal land from a country just because their population is decreased, especially not when it's your fault. It wasn't just an accident that the Native Americans got diseases from Europeans. In some cases, there were documented cases. Ministers like to document these things, some of the ones who are more concerned about human rights abuses, of the blankets that had been used by people who had plague or smallpox being given to Native Americans specifically with the intent of committing biological warfare. So it was a genocide. As the U.S. has done 10 genocides, its history, and the very first one was against Native Americans. And then after World War II, we helped support 9 more. Actually, 11 if you Native American plus 10 more if you count the Korean Air War, which the leading English language expert on it considers that a genocide because we burned whole cities to the ground with napalm and went with the explicit intention of creating civilian casualties. So at least terror bombing, at least crimes against humanity. And there were North Korean accusations of use of biological warfare. Again, which U.S. has done before, against Native Americans. So, in terms of like plague blankets, so it's more believable when you know the history. The history that the right-wingers don't want you to know and are trying to minimize or erase these days with Trump and the fascists. Oh, these guys are marching all the way there? No. That's dumb. I knew there's something I'm missing. Alright, I'll strat redeploy part of the way. Probably lost squad equipment to attrition marching. Dumb, like. Not Angantyr, and they've probably been sure of that for a while, actually. Alright, now switch to... There we go. Normal marching, and they'll continue there. Let's give some time to reorganize en route. So there was an investigative committee that looked into it, an international one, and they concluded that yes, the U.S. had done a very limited biological war program in the Korean War, mostly using surplus that was obtained from the Japanese, who committed widespread biological and chemical warfare in their attacks on China, something that's not talked enough about, even though the U.S. does not deny it occurred, unlike the biological war in the Korean War. The U.S. readily admits the Japanese did this, but we conveniently never talk about it to avoid offending our ally. So, telling the truth about history is less important than offending an ally who we really need because we're determined to control Asia. It's ridiculous. First ally against the Soviets, now against the Chinese. It's... Ugh. But yeah, so, and it's documented, like there are documented memos that, are out there within the U.S. military about considering whether to conduct a biological warfare program. The fact that it was discussed is a proven fact, but, it's alleged that there were secret conversations about that it was decided to actually be done in secret with the CIA, equipping planes with the biological warfare, which it's documented that there were CIA agents messing around with the planes, which they didn't belong there, and their people raised concerns in the Air Force, because normally you don't see CIA forces loading stuff on the planes. Could have been spy equipment. That would be the innocuous explanation, that they were putting cameras on bombers or something. But why would you need to hide it in the middle of a war? The committee that investigated collected eyewitness testimonies from people who had seen the bioweapons be dropped and seen the effects of the diseases break out in communities where they were dropped. Specifically, a bunch of infected fleas with bubonic plague, like bombs, paper bombs actually, that would break open and release millions of fleas. Of course, most of them were dead by the time they landed, which is one of the documented problems with the Japanese equipment, which is why, the internal discussions are about, American Air Force and like national security state people discussing it and trying to figure out if there was a way to, if the technology could be perfected, because Japan's version didn't work well because they used these paper bombs that would spill open and most of the fleas already be dead. But some people, they get sick from them. The committee refused to provide a number of how many people were killed, which, of course, the U.S. started to say, oh, they're making it all up. No, they said they didn't want to give the U.S. information how effective the thing was, so it could have been really bad, or it could be that it was a small number and they didn't want people saying, well, only 12 people died, so that wasn't a big deal. It's still a big deal that it was attempted. My understanding of how these things often go, it probably wasn't a large death toll, but I have some background in virology, immunology, and pandemics and stuff. I have some understanding of. It's likely that since they dropped them in rural areas with low population densities, and people immediately realized what was going on, so it wasn't like a disease spreading quietly, and it was wartime, so the populace could unite around trying to contain the incident, like, say, during COVID, where people resisted quarantine measures. It's very likely that it was a very, very small death toll, but it was still done, and it's still a war crime. So, and chemical agents too, like, poison gas type stuff, much more conventional, also didn't work well. Mostly because they weren't using on big cities. They were using out in the countryside, and this shouldn't surprise anyone. Winston Churchill conducted nerve agent attacks on villages near Archangel, actually. I tried to start a civil war here during the British invasion of the Soviet Union in the 1920s. He was at the time not the leader of the United Kingdom. Churchill was a war minister. He had been a munitions minister, and he swapped into more directly controlling military forces. And so he took his pet project, which had been working on a nerve gas agent, and he got the forces that were invading the Soviet Union to test the weapons, and they didn't work well because they didn't deal well with high humidity, and it was a very humid area where they tested the weapons. But they did gas entire villages, killed a few hundred people, or 1,000, I think it was, a little over 1,000, murdered by the British during the invasion of the Soviet Union. Of course, that's chump change compared to the number of people who died due to the Black 100s murdering and burning whole villages, or later in World War II, the Nazis doing it, but it's still horrendous and should not be minimized. What Churchill did. Which is, of course, part of why Churchill lost re-election after World War II. He was despised by many on the left within the UK because some of his war crimes were well documented. And he was also documented he used artillery to break up coal miner strikes in Wales. Shelled the headquarters of a trade union with people inside it. Kind of like how the Russian White House, the legislative building, was shelled by Yeltsin, who was trying to force capitalism on the Soviet Union, and even after the Soviet Union dissolved, there was still a lot of strong support for communism in the legislature. Basically, people realized the collapse of the Soviet Union, the collapse of the welfare systems and state industries was horrifically affecting ordinary people, and so there was a backlash, and there was a wave of communists being elected, and they had not quite a majority again, but they had a plurality, and a very narrow plurality, so they were the largest sitting party. They pushed out the capitalists, and they had to form a governing coalition. They allied with the fascists, because fascists won seats. And so there was a red-brown coalition in Russia that was determined to hold a vote of no confidence against Yeltsin and basically remove from power and bring back the Soviet Union, but with concessions to the fascists. And so Yeltsin proceeded to shell the legislative building. You can look it up. There's pictures of the building with smoke pouring out of it and everything online. This is very well documented. And yet, it's never talked about in the United States. I had to learn about it from people writing about how the U.S. was not really the good guys in the Cold War, which is not something, you shouldn't have to go to critics of the system. It should be in mainstream history textbooks, this particular event. To be fair, it might have been in my history textbooks. We kind of just stopped covering much after World War II, which is very common in the U.S. to not actually cover the Cold War, really. I switched to a chapter on modern history, but I seem to remember doing so and seeing a picture of it. It might have been in there. It might in the back of my mind. I don't remember I seem like, oh, maybe I've seen that picture before, so maybe it was in the textbook. I don't know. It'd be too much work to check. I don't know my high school history textbooks, so what the names of them were anymore. But it's certainly not taught. The Soviets joined the Central Powers? Okay, well, I was actually figuring they might do it before. The non-aligned don't care. That's right, you don't need 30% support if you're non-aligned. Okay, this brings the Central Powers into war with the United States. Way ahead of schedule. This does mean most likely American troops will land in France. France will get military access, and Central Powers are doomed now, most likely. But it does create the potential. I mean, it does mean that the Soviets and Central Powers won't be fighting each other necessarily like I expected. It does create the potential that, I don't know, they might blow up the U.S. for a while, distract them in the Norwegian front. April 1st, it's like an April Fool's joke. Not a very good one. It's led by Austro-Hungarians, so they're recapitulating the kind of. No, well, World War I, they fought the Central Powers, so it doesn't even make sense. Why? We're actually getting nailed pretty hard by the Poles, but that's probably because of this spirit or support division attack everywhere. Like divisions are fighting in Minsk have lower attack. It makes no sense. But this will be over in a couple months, and then they'll probably be able to stabilize and even push. They're still fighting through areas that were conquered for Belarus. Although, why Poland isn't at war with Belarus? They're in my faction. Belarus. So, Poland shouldn't be able to occupy Belarus. It's a neutral power they're not at war with. They should be handing off control to my ally, giving them back the territory, I thought. I'm not always sure how that works, but third powers are occupied, but didn't get to a war conference. They really should be returning control to the Belarusians. Poles. For some reason, they're just holding on to the territory. Okay. So they've pulled the Central Powers into their war against Poland now. Or no? Well, they will soon. Maybe it was a war against the United States they pulled them into already. These guys, why are they under this general? They should actually be under this one. Better stats. I have two different generals in an area. Boom. They're not even the ones who rolled it, you know, so I should be putting them under whoever has the best stats. They're not pulling trenches with this guy. These guys have casualties to replace, but if I have them exercise, they'll just get pushed there. So, oh well. Oh, these guys are fully entrenched. So, this... do that so they don't pull divisions off entrenchment there and then get attacked to reinforce it. But these guys should have digging in deeper. No. Midnight rolls over to recalculate and see. Maybe when I reset it. Should show the bar not full. Extra entrenchment, whatever. Austria-Hungary is... oh yeah, shoot. Darn it. I'm at war with the Soviets, that's right. I didn't have a prayer of beating these guys. Shoot. Am I at war with Turkey yet? Not yet. But I will be within like a couple days. Some of you are probably screaming at me. Watch out for Turkey, watch out. Yeah, the best I can do is a delaying action. That's not even likely to work. I should probably evacuate them. Anyone else I can to Spain. I'm not going to be able to fight effectively against the Turks, even if I station my 5 divisions, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe double up somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, Derizu. Best I do is delay them and get crushed. In Spain I can carry on the fight, but this means it's probably time to switch to Denmark or Karelia. What happens to this justification if... if I swap, the AI will end up probably declaring war on Lebanon, which will lead to Occitania going to war with the faction. Spain will be occupied. That's not great. That's why I need to go here. What I can do is put those 5 divisions on the Occitanian border and try to hold Occitania in the mountains. If I have any divisions that can pre-deploy, now's the time. 14%. Training time. 120 days because of the artillery. For infantry only, they would have been faster. Whatever. Too late to fix it now. Okay, what I do need is a delaying action then. Need to rush troops to the border. These guys can actually finish their training. They're almost done. These guys can't. These 4 will hold key positions. 1, 2, 3, 4. The other ones will sit in Homs as a reserve probably and finish their training, and then everyone's gonna depart fairly quick. I do have Mountaineers here. 6 with Mountain. Oh yeah, these guys need to turn into 6 with. These are 18 with. Naming didn't get updated. 332. 332. They're not getting the anti-air right now. That was the time. But start actually giving them the equipment they need. There isn't actually a version of the double, or that isn't reserved, really? Still lower priority in the Norse theater, but I'll give them what I can to pair them. This guy wasn't even ready for his responsibilities as a field marshal yet. Shoot, I was totally not ready for this. It's only because he's a harsh leader, he can hold them at all. Let's see, I've got defensive old guard. Aggressive assaulter here. There's not time to fully entrench. It's probably actually better to put him under that. Okay. Or recovery with this guy, but trickster. That's not gonna matter. It's not. So this is the person who should probably be leading defense. Alright. Key things, defend our Aleppo in the port. How long can I hold on? April 14th. Can I hang on 11 days against the Turks? Maybe. Maybe. Delay them getting to Daryl's or... Yeah, these guys... Take a fallback point there. Need to finish the training, so I'll do it in 2 days. Be long. Hack into this. It's considered war territory for me, so I might actually fight better. In Pate, reclaiming it, finally. Put these guys here, then. Port's kind of important. I'll put the... Oh, no. Probably an attack Aleppo in substantial force. If I lose the port, it's all lost. All is lost in that case. These guys get their equipment. So much for producing aircraft or whatever. Managing to hold there, but how long will that last? I don't know. I didn't expect the Soviets to join the Central Powers. I figured if they were going to do it, they would have done it by now. That's one of those things that, you know, strategic uncertainties. It's going to completely mess me up here. These guys are trying to fortify at the border, but I don't know long for certain. Hold this because this victory point controlled state, although if they march into enough of that, it won't matter. It's a victory point that can defend for a little while at the river anyways. This was never even started. What is this? Convoy lost. It's worth noting I could have been producing these Jordanian destroyers instead of convoys, but production time would be pathetically bad. The only thing they can do is have anti-air. They don't even have torpedoes for them. Ideally, I'd have a version without fire control system. Just hasn't been worth it. Hungary was now called in. Not yet Turkey. It's good. The divisions aren't even in place yet. Taking a while to march. Getting up to regular will provide more bonuses than entrenching, so hopefully they don't immediately declare. It'll be too long until I can deploy these guys green. The Axis theme. Surprised Turkey has waited so long. I thought they wanted my land. Whatever. Communist China declared war on Shanxi. Montenegro joined Austro-Hungary. And Croatia, Slovenia. China joined the Central Powers. Oh no. Well, it definitely means they won't be joining the US faction. So the Central Powers will be at war with the US, so probably be a Central Powers China eventually. The People's Republic doesn't win. The only way they could win is if the faction gets carried on by them. Do they have the political power to take over the faction? They do. Amazing. They're the only ones who could carry forward. Nick. No. When Bergen surrenders 17... Nope, they're never gonna have the factories. Yep, the faction's surrendering. There's jack all I can do to stop it. Air protection, but they don't have any aircraft. dumb of them. Shouldn't they be doing military theorist? Oh, they finished their entire army tree. They could swap trees eventually. Minor thing, but yeah, they have some guys that are gonna level up soon. Oh, yeah, in the new version, I mean, Thunder at the Gates, whatever, it's going to be soon the case that generals can be captured, which would be interesting when they're country leaders. Okay, they should get rid of the Academy scholarships and go to meticulous prep. Might gain a little more points when they level up. Is there anything here to give them a little more ability to hold on? Entrenchment speed? Maybe. Proper heritage, leader experience gain. Or professional officer corps division experience gain. So they're not going to hold on for very long. Oh, Norway is, well, decided to surrender date. They've got Army XP to play with, so they can swap off ideological loyalty for a little. Supply combat penalties in core territory, minus 20%. Oh. Good general may be trained, but great general must be bred. Like horses, in a way. Yeah, they need that. Reduced supply penalties in core territory will help them. And this help their generals rank up. Victory or death is a smart choice for them. How have they not appointed a chief of the Navy all this time? Naval speed at least benefits convoys if they ever get a coastal province. Like if they're given occupation one, I think that benefits them pulling out of fights, but they should have appointed chief of the Navy instead of no one. It is possible that China might be able to take over the faction in the one day after Bergen falls before the ticks over, so they should probably leave with command power, with the political power. For that. Got an infantry expert. Recovery. Attrition. Yeah, these are fine.